Hello and welcome to another episode of the Construction Corner podcast. I'm Dylan, I'm your host, and today, guys, I am joined by Quinton Presley, who is a professional electrical engineer. And after spending close to 8 years on the utility side of the fence with the Arizona Public Services and doing all the big, fun utility scale stuff, he decided he wanted to come over to the kind of commercial industrial side of the fence on the user side of the utility world and build his own firm. And so now he is passionate about not only still being an electrical engineer, but doing the MEP side of things. And again, has experience across all sizes and scales of projects that we get into. So I'm excited to talk to Quinton Presley today on the show. Welcome, Quinton.
Thanks, Dylan. Thanks for having me here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, happy to have you. Um, I guess first, how did you get into electrical engineering? And then we'll get into like why would you do the crazy thing of starting your own firm? But let's start with what got you into engineering?
So initially, so when I was in high school, I was heading out of high school and I really didn't know what I wanted to do, but I did know I wanted to from my upbringing of a little bit of instability, I wanted to head in the direction of stability. So there were some top careers to pursue. And I'd go on like these. My uncle, he was a bus driver for Milwaukee County, so every now and then I'd catch the bus with him, and he was directing me more so to go down the journeyman electrical path. So um, after I graduated, I attempted to get into the local programs, but at the time I couldn't get into them. So I did the crazy thing and I went electrical engineering. So I could have tested to those, but then I went down the more challenging at the time path was going to going to a university and working my way through that. So after a lot of bus rides and those conversations, it was the direction that I ended up taking. So my first path actually was through going into the local community college. So I actually started right into some of the technical circuitry design and stuff like that. And then I continued over to pick up a lot of my early general courses before I headed into the university. And that's when I fulfilled my degree in electrical at the University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee at the time. Yep.
Awesome, man. Well, either one of those would have been a great,
Yeah.
path, right? Like, especially the demand for electricians now, and then in Wisconsin in particular. I mean, I know you got out of the snow, but in Wisconsin, like the data center boom, and it feels like every other week, project, gets announced. Data center
Yeah.
being built in Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's quite impressive. Yeah.
Cool. What I guess as you went through school, obviously graduated there from Milwaukee, like what got you into the utility world and then moving down to Arizona, making that, huge leap?
Yeah, so so when I first uh started, I had an internship in undergrad where I worked for a company called Franklin Energy at the time, and what they did is they provided for all utilities, local utilities, what their incentive programs, right, for commercial or residential developers or commercial owners, right, for them to retrofit everything so it can become more energy efficient, right? So we did calculations on annual paybacks and energy usage for various utilities. So at the time, we were doing some work for their multi-family program out in Arizona for Arizona Public Service. So that's how I became familiar with the utility. But in undergrad, we really focused on a lot of electronics, right? So uh, I was not as familiar with the power system design. So what I did was I actually utilized kind of like some of my resources to learn a little bit more about the utility industry when I got well, after I graduated. So I flew down to right after I graduated in December. I flew right out to Arizona, and fortunately my employer at the time for my internship, like I had a really good relationship with my manager, so I noted to him like I was getting out of that side of the industry and that I was going to head into the power system industry. And sure enough, he allowed me to come down into their office down here and search for further employment in Arizona. So I learned really early to, once you have those relationships and communicate thoroughly that people will work with you, right? As long as you've had those good relationships. So when I got to Arizona, then I was just reaching out to all the local companies, and Arizona Public Service was one of them, but it wasn't my first job out here as a electrical engineer. So I actually worked on the private side with a local electrical engineering firm doing some of the tool installs for Intel, right? So on their R&D side, so as they would bring in new equipment, we'd go out and search circuits and allocate new panels and all that good stuff for new equipment coming in. So I actually did not have any power system experience, and it was just something that I decided at some point that's where I wanted to be at. So that's the direction that I just started just pushing for more.
Yeah, the utility side, and especially like as a new grad, I mean, I feel like utilities are always, well, most firms are always eager to bring in, young, fresh talent into their organizations so they can grow them up and teach them the way that they do
Yep.
things and
Yep.
all that kind of good stuff. So, what
Yeah.
was it like being on the kind of utility side of things and moving over, into that world?
Yeah. So it was actually the Arizona State University. They have a really good electrical power system program. So, um, and they have a good the transition from bachelor's to into Arizona Public Service pretty much on their transmission and distribution side. So what they have is they have a rotational program, which is a 2-year program where you rotate every 6 months into different departments, right? So what I did is I did transmission planning, I did distribution, operations, I did substation design, and I did the controls engineering, the SCADA side of things, for my first 4 rotations. Um, with that, all of the unfamiliarity that I had with power system industry, as you can imagine, like it was just honed in a lot just right away because with the program, you just can learn as much as you can. You can, you have mentorship throughout the program. So during my course of my 2 years, that's when I started studying for FE, because all of my peers, like they came from the competitive school, right? And really good school where they had already had their FE. So I was more in the direction of like, yeah, this is something that I need to do, right? So I started pursuing that. And then within the 2 years, I also pursued getting my professional engineering license as well. So overall, I just think that there was just an abundance of mentorship and abundance of learning that I was able to accomplish in the first 2 years of being there. And then from there, I was a controls engineer throughout the rest of my duration at the company, where I just worked on the SCADA side, integrated substations, all that good stuff.
I guess speak a little bit to kind of how important it was to get around, like being in that program, right, that Arizona State put on for it or help facilitate through Arizona Public Services. Because that's kind of unique a little bit, like I would hear that for guys that you know 15 years ago now that went to like GE and they'd have like some rotational programs and stuff like that, but just kind of how crucial that was to really like an education, getting a pretty good rounded
Yeah.
understanding of the systems, because that's fairly unique of a program and super cool that they're able to do that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's amazing the opportunity that you receive just as a coming out as an undergrad. They also have it kind of where they have internships right prior to even more so, right? So you're getting that early introduction, and then you also hop right into as a full-time employee learning just pretty much 2 years of like really good learning. We also had a lot of like soft skill development opportunities too, right? So after every 6 months, we were presenting in front of management, what we did over the course of the past 6 months, how much we learned. So we really had to just we had to also, we had to work, we had to learn, we had to bring to the table, solutions. And we also had to present on the solutions that we arrived at, right? And how much we learned. So, with doing so, I had the opportunity to really just hone in on collecting my notes, gathering my notes, putting everything together, and just like absorbing as much as I could, as I had my own personal goals for myself. The funniest thing is like because I was from Milwaukee, right, and the program was typically funneled through, Arizona State University or local Arizona schools. It was always, or New Mexico. It was always when we're doing presentations, like I'm the only like random guy up up there who's from a completely different state, like than the norm, right? So, but it was great going through that program.
Yeah, man. Like, well, and you weren't freezing, right? Like,
Yeah, right. Yeah, no more of that. Yeah, right. So, yeah,
I
I'd
guess
always tell people. Yeah,
Flagstaff, but
yeah, yeah. I always tell people when I first got to Arizona that I was still defrosting, right? But I can't do that anymore.
yeah, you've been there for long enough now that
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
acclimated to 110,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It's 100 plus. Yeah,
Uh, Man, that's no, that's such a great program. Like that's really cool that they put that on, and it definitely creates probably a good pipeline of people for the public utility sector, and especially um I guess how much Arizona's been growing over the last like 10 years. And maybe talk a little bit to that as well. Just like the industry that has come to Arizona and everything that's been built up over the last, 10, 15 years. I know, for me flying through Sky Harbor there in Phoenix and stuff and doing some other trips, just seeing how much it's expanded. The tower cranes seem to be, ever
yeah.
popping up when I go to Phoenix for conventions or what have you. But yeah, talk a little bit about like the growth that Arizona in general, I think, has had over the last 15 years.
Yeah, I've been out here since 2016, and I can really say like as especially working in the utility industry, right? So we would know when larger clients are coming in and we're just like, trying to piece together like how can we get all of this load right to this pocket here. So um I've seen it and it's very interesting like how the generation just in general, like there is a lot of consistency and stability in the utility industry where these, large power absorbers come in and we still can fulfill the requirements, right? Based off of forecasted generation, right? So I really do think that the power industry and the utility industry, electric utility industry is just really impressive of all the great minds that kind of come together to, piece together something that we value so much, which is our electrical power, right? So I've seen large companies come in, so like the Microsoft, the Intel expansions, the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, the TSMC, the preparation for them, the additional substations that are required for them, the increased quantity of companies that are growing even in the metro areas, um, with just making sure that they have redundant networks for, ensuring that power is very consistent. So I've seen a lot of growth. I've also seen as, on as a homeowner, right, as a husband and father, like just transitioning from ownership, right, and seeing the market go crazy, and then just the constant development of housing that's continuously growing throughout Arizona, with it being such a younger state compared to some of the other states.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome to hear, and just that one, Arizona's been able to deal with the expansion of some big users, right? Like having the Taiwan Semiconductor come in, Intel, their fab expansion for those plants, some of the battery plants that I know have been put into Arizona here lately, and
Mhm.
then the data centers as they
Data
pop
centers,
up
yep.
as well over the last 10 years or so, to have these large plants, large facilities, large power users, and
Yep.
that the utility is still able to take that load or in service these guys. It's probably why Arizona's been a place for everybody to go here the
Yeah,
last 10 years.
right. Seriously.
Been able
Yeah.
to handle all of that. um awesome. Well, and that kind of leads us into you making the transition over to owning your own firm here, and making that jump, right, to start an H2Q. So what was the kind of thing that made you want to get in and start your own business and doing your own consulting engineering firm?
Yeah, so I think I just got to a stage where, I wanted a different challenge, right? So I come from a background where I didn't know any engineers, didn't know anything about electrical engineering, no, nothing really construction related altogether, right? So everything that I've pretty much done has been, a challenge, and a challenge as a first time, right? So um I think that's the biggest thing for me. Like if I felt as though if I sat continued in the utility industry, then it would not, um it would just grow to be, support as a very supportive role, but it wouldn't grow to be something that could be more of a legacy, or something that can be where I could be more seen to individuals as like myself, who may want to pursue the industry, or have no idea what the industry looks like, right? Or that it's even an option. So I think that's what it was for me, and I'm used to starting things unknown and figuring it out, right? So I know myself and my wife, we're both very similar, where we believe like that, we can figure things out, right, no matter what. So even being first generation and so many different things, that we believe that we can figure things out as we go. So that's the biggest thing for me, is having that challenge, also being representation. I think that's what has kind of driven me to just keep continuing, even though my transition was from like the utility industry into more on the public side, more into the private side, where I really didn't know many potential clients or anything like that. So it's been a really strong a heavy change, I guess, from where I was to now.
No, that's awesome, man. I mean, it's definitely not for everybody to take that leap,
Yeah,
as a guy that's done the same thing, right? It's can be challenging at times, and you're sometimes your own worst enemy as well, right? Taking on
yeah,
more than you can handle, or
yeah,
um what have you, as projects come, and getting everything done, right?
yeah,
It's sometimes hard to balance all those pieces. But with owning your own firm also comes, a lot of freedom in a way, right? Like I can
yeah,
choose to work from home or go to the office like I am now, or as we grow the team, put people wherever, right? They can be remote, they can be in the office with us. It's really, as we grow, we'll have all those challenges too, because we do
yeah,
a bunch of projects now in like Wisconsin, Chicago, Illinois, Iowa, here in California. So I mean, we're all over the map, and we've got some that'll start in Texas here next year too.
Yeah.
Uh, so totally, totally get the making the
Yeah.
jump and putting it on your shoulders. Now that you're, 3, 4 years into it, you still liking the decision that you made the jump?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I have this conversation often. I'm steadily going through the challenges of, just it's still a steep curve, right? That set degree of separation from being a business owner versus being, a technical engineer, right? Just continuously comprehending, and trying to understand a little bit more how, the business side of things, right? So that means accounting, invoicing, all of that stuff that was just, was not not really a thing, right? So proposals, all of that, just still just trying to hone in. I do I like you mentioned, right? I like the freedom of my schedule, right? So like I'm a father of three, so I my schedule can change at any point, right? And I don't feel that, that guilt or anything like that with adjusting my schedule, right? Like I do it with respect to my clients and I project further out, right? And I just make the decisions that, are pretty much that I want to make to enjoy the time and be at places that I want to be at for my family. So I think that it's the challenge of transitioning. That's one of the bigger things that helps me keep going. Is having that flexibility in my lifestyle right now.
How old are your kids?
Yeah, so right now I have a 6-year-old daughter. So she's in first grade. And then I have a 3-year-old son. He'll be 4 in January. And then I have a 14-month daughter. So yeah, so it's busy times right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's, I guess, for a lot of us out there too. And I'll say this, for my team as well, but it's, as families grow, right, as you have kids and have that flexibility, so long as you're meeting deadlines,
Yep.
right, that is the biggest thing. It's, yeah, you might be up at 2 in the morning if you got a 14-month
Yeah.
uh kid, and then you might be at ballet at 2 p.m., right? It's the
Yeah.
same things. So with that, that flexibility is awesome, so long as project deadlines and deliverables get met. um,
Yeah.
we all got the same 24 hours, and then it's how you fit, projects in, and whether you're working on them at
Yeah.
7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, or 3 in the morning while you're up with a toddler.
Yeah, right. Yeah, seriously. It's long days. Like yeah. So many a days are I maybe, helping a sick kid in the middle of the night and then I'm like right back up 2, 3 hours later to join a East Coast meeting or something like that. So it's been interesting.
Yeah, well, a good thing if like, for us, like a handful of our clients are on the, either central time zone, not too many East Coast, but central. So everybody's 2 hours ahead of me, so if usually by 3 o'clock, the phone usually stops ringing.
Yeah.
Occasionally I get a couple calls from the guys here in California, but by three
Yeah.
o'clock I'm pretty safe that
Yeah, yeah. Which is nice to a certain extent because, then you may not get the call that, that sends you on a tangent from what you were doing, right?
yeah, the fires are usually extinguished, or they will just burn until tomorrow, and then
Yeah,
call
exactly.
me first thing, and then I'll deal with it at 7 a.m. and we
Yeah,
go from there.
yeah, 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 I
It's
like
kind of
it.
how that works out. Um, cool. I guess the place I'd like to head next for the show is, now own your own firm, now seeing this side of it, is kind of where you see projects moving, or the types of projects that are popping up, whether it's there in Arizona or the stuff that you're working on across the country. But where do you kind of see the industry heading as a whole?
Yeah, so I think as a whole, I see. Of course, the implementation, more implementation of automation and AI, the power of AI, right? So we're seeing a lot of it integrated into um, the various softwares that we're using, right? So I think you were mentioning like that you have, have some, autonomous um portions that you guys work through your Revit, and then there's the AutoCAD side of things. Just I think a lot of it is those systems being part of our profile, which makes our processes a lot faster, right? So continuing to see that, right? And you having your own AI profile means that, project management or how you QC or do things with projects it will look pretty similar to, well, through the automation will look similar to how you operate, right? So, um, I think that's the biggest thing is I'm sure that as we learn to utilize the AI a lot more, then we'll become more efficient and figure out the ways to, tweak and modify our what our AI profile looks like for electrical engineering or for managing, right? Tons of information being thrown our way and how to, categorize everything and put them together. One of the biggest things that is a significant challenge right now is kind of putting everything into a centralized location, right? I receive text messages, calls, I receive emails. We're working through Procore, we're working through ACC, right? We're working through all of these different platforms, right? Um, and working with various tools, right? We need to have that stuff centralized so that we can work a little bit better and we can communicate faster, that kind of thing. So I'm thinking as we see, more tools come out, more APIs that integrate into the various platforms and consolidate things for engineers, then we'll have our quality of work, our speed of work will continue to increase and become better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking notes here as we go through because I think that that's going to be the next phase, as well. I know like Autodesk is working on some of these things, Procore's working on it, to be able to compile anywhere from like meeting notes to plans to all the other pieces, that get loaded into those platforms, right? And to be able to curate and pull out information, for submittals, specs, all of
Yeah.
the other various pieces that get, put up through like Procore, for example, on
Mhm.
the construction side, right? How do you pull out information from meeting minutes, specifications, are these getting met, submittals,
Yeah.
um, is everything met? What might be, as project engineer, right? The first pass on the, project engineer for the construction side, right? For the first pass through submittals, are is the AI going to take that first pass and then highlight things that might need to be looked at on a given
Yeah.
submittal, right? And reference it against the spec section, those types of things, so that
Yeah.
the GC, can do their piece faster, and catch anything or potentially catch anything before it gets turned over, right, to like
Yeah.
the engineering team, for example.
Yeah.
Because historically, I mean, most of those project engineers aren't looking at a gear submittal and knowing what
Yeah.
they're looking at anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Some level of filtration, right? I do believe we can only, review and you know, govern so much, right? So I think it's very important to that, and that's why I say like more of a profile because there are certain things consistently that we think of like when it's time to review a submittal, when it's time to um you know review RFIs or answer back RFIs, that are very consistent. So And then there's, the eyeballs where we may have to sit down and, do a thorough evaluation. So, like you said, just kind of like filtering and identifying some of the items on the front end before it gets to us, right? It will be very nice.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons I've liked the design build side so much is because
Mhm.
we're basically doing submittal review as we design
Yeah,
projects.
yeah,
Since really we're looking at procurement documents anyway
yeah,
from the supply houses, and distribution to
yeah,
review through what they can get, what they can procure, what their lead
yeah,
times are as we design these systems has become kind of one and the same for us on the design build side because then procurement goes faster. We can sign off, yes, this is what we want. These are
yeah,
drawings we need for switchgear or anything else, panel schedules as we go down the list. So it becomes a lot easier for us, a lot harder. Like you got to, again, design more front end
yeah,
pieces to be able to
yeah,
make all those decisions. So
yeah,
you're releasing gear packages, probably I mean, drawings sometimes aren't even done, but you're going to
yeah,
size the gear and everything else, and then
yeah,
you'll figure out breaker fill later,
yeah,
uh, just to get the gear packages on site and
yeah,
meet the timelines that everybody
yeah,
are looking
exactly.
for.
Right? It's all about the lead time, right? So also in the design build side, like it's a little bit more helpful because you don't have the that aspect of the client client and budget and design it a different way because of how n not necessarily comprehending how things are put together, but it's just just always a number. So uh so it's nice being on that side as well.
Yeah, I mean they've already gotten their numbers right.
Yeah,
Like it combined, we become a subcontractor to the electrical contractor, and then their number is inclusive of ours, and
yeah,
then they have their gear numbers usually for the project. So when the owner gets a
yeah,
number, it's all inclusive, and there's no, hey, this is yeah, I mean this is what it's going to be, and then if it
yeah,
goes forward, everybody's good with the numbers to
yeah,
start until they change something. But
yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah,
that's a
it's
different
always
story.
yeah, right.
Really the next piece that I have, Quinn, and maybe something that for our audience, not only what you've learned, but what you'd want to see out of the next generation is, kind of either some advice that you wish you'd gotten coming up through it, or what you see that the next generation just needs to do to be successful, in engineering, in construction, with the owners that we're dealing with, right? What are some of the things that next generation uh, can do so that they are successful when it comes to a career in this field, right? Whether it's consulting engineering or on the construction side.
Yeah. I say on the I guess I'll step through it. Like I think on the construction side, I guess just integrating or trying to figure out how to get into programs on the earlier side, right? So maybe in high school, right? Those earlier sides, if there are programs to get into that can help you understand the construction industry earlier, get the tools, right? Get the tools hands-on, get to it right away. I think that that's always best for those pursuing careers on the construction side, right? So there are tons of programs, but a lot of times the programs may not be accessible. So I think it's very important for those like myself or those who are a little bit more accomplished in industry, whether in construction, to actually go out and try to help make sure that the programs are being integrated so that we don't have the issue of like lack of electricians in industry or available or plumbers or HVAC techs, that kind of thing. So I think it's very vital for that business side of things where I know in a lot of cases we're busy doing the work, so we cannot go out and help. But I think it should be part of it should be part of the developing contractor or electrician, I should say, or HVAC tech. It should be a part of their curriculum to actually go out and help pull into the industry, right? I think that's the biggest thing for engineering as well is the tools, right? We're seeing such an advanced level of change in the software and the tools that we're utilizing. So definitely to not be afraid of the tools, but rather uh, find ways to utilize the tools, take tons of notes, um, make sure that your notes live with you, right? No more, no more handwritten notes, right? I think a lot of us have progressed past that, but making sure that your notes live with you and that you're integrating your notes with your day-to-day tasks and stuff like that as you're progressing through your career. Um, I think that those are two of the biggest things. Is I think the programs have to be increased and offered across the board, and I think that it's important for us to give back, right? Um, give back, right, through internships, through apprenticeships, all those different programs that help bring people into the industry, and then those young minds can help bring those new tools to the industry as well, right? So I think that's the biggest thing for me right now, my perspective of it.
Yeah. I mean, so ACE is one of the big mentorship programs, ACE. Um,
Mhm.
uh, like I don't have it here locally, but the where I live, but pretty much any large metro would have it.
Yeah,
Uh, is the big one for construction professionals as well as like engineering, right? It's the full MEP, well, or the architecture, construction, engineering,
yeah,
operators mentorship program. So ACE is the big one. The other one is well, so that's big for the mentorship piece. If you're looking to get into specifically like a specialty trade for those guys, there are times that you have to like apply, like so for I think either union or non-union, there's specific times that you have to like go for applications, right? Like they
mhm,
have opening windows
yeah,
for kind of like open enrollment, if you will, for those programs. But then if you know somebody within the program, more so on the union side, then they can help to fast track your pathway into it because then they'll come and you'll get signed up through the union hall and then you'll come to work for that company, if they vouch for you, right, to be
yeah,
their signatory for it to get you on the path.
yeah,
That'll somewhat work too for like in California where the electrical apprenticeship is a state-run program. So either union or non-union, you're still going to run through the state piece.
yeah,
So in the merit shop, you'd still have to, register and all that kind of fun stuff to make sure all your hours count towards your state license. So again, look for that, especially on the trades side of it. Now, for engineering, you need to work under, licensed engineer to
yeah,
ultimately qualify for your PE hours, after you've taken your FE and all that kind of fun stuff.
yeah,
So just keep that in mind, guys, for your qualifications, as you go through this or look for programs or anything. Licensure is the big deal in this industry.
yeah,
So make sure that you go down the right path and have those things kind of lined out for you, or make sure that you can go and ultimately get licensed at whatever firm that you're working for, and that's whether it's a journeyman electrician or plumber or carpenter or an engineer, right? Architect, same deal down the line. So those credentials do matter a ton as you progress through. And then the other note that I had is like I do take a ton of handwritten notes, so I carry those things with me everywhere. Um, and then I've upgraded too to like the Kindle Scribe,
yeah,
so that's it's digital, but it's
yeah,
still handwritten so that I try to retain all that stuff a little
Yeah,
better.
exactly. Yeah,
And just
yeah,
and in a meeting, it looks a lot better when you're taking, handwritten notes versus being on an iPad. Everybody thinks you're uh,
yeah. Having
you
a
know,
good time.
not paying attention to the meeting, right? If you're
Yeah,
on your iPad or laptop. So that's like the other hack for most of these meetings is, having a handwritten thing, be it like a Kindle Scribe or something like that,
yeah.
uh, matters for these meetings. But Quinton, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on my LinkedIn, of course. That's Quinton Presley. My website as well, or you can, email or give me a call as well. My information is on my website. So that's h2qeng.com. Um, yeah, pretty much. I'm available, for various conversations about industry or, for opportunities for collaboration as well.
Awesome. Yeah, and guys, all that'll be linked in the show notes here as well. Um, any parting words, Quinton, that you have for the audience?
Yeah, I think just no matter the industry, the collaboration that is required in our industry continues to grow, right? And um as an inclusive environment, right? So I think my transition from college to um, into utility industry, great environment that I experienced. And then now as a owner, I look to facilitate and always offer a great environment and great collaboration. So I think that's the most important driver for us as career individuals for getting up and continuing our day and continuing in our careers, just having a good environment to operate in, right? So I think that's the biggest thing for me.
Love it, man. I mean, that's culture is pretty much everything, right? Culture's the top dog. Granted, you need some strategy in there too, but culture kind of ultimately wins. So I totally agree.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Quentin, thank you so much for coming on the Construction Corner podcast. And for everybody else, guys, until next time.